everyone. Welcome back, finally, to the Pit Lane Formula One podcast. I am your host, as always, Sam DeBrew, joined by the king of the North, the man himself, the 2018 Formula 2 World Driving Champion is Jacob Horsenheim. Hello, Jakey.
Hello, mate. We're finally back again.
Oh, it's been a long time, hasn't it?
It's been, yeah. We were just too crushed by Sochi that we couldn't come.
Yeah. Let's get into what was kind of an eventful USA Grand Prix. I don't know. We did have the USA Grand Prix at the Circuit of Americas this past weekend, which saw Max Verstappen extend his lead in the driving championship, coming first. Then we had Lewis Hamilton nearly hitting him for first place, but could only manage P2. And in P3, we had Checo, Sergio Perez, making it a great day out for Red Bull. Thoughts on our race winner firstly, Max Verstappen, Jakey?
Yeah, don't really have too much. I mean, it was great strategy, wasn't it? He went into the pits early on, used the undercut, got ahead of Hamilton, and yeah, it's been another professional performance from Max that we've seen quite a lot this season, actually, where he's just sort of kept himself out of trouble. Yeah. What did you make of? They were saying like in the build-up, like he didn't point his car towards Hamilton when he lined up on the grid, because they were saying like, oh yeah, when you're on the first spot, they usually point it towards second so that they can get over and cover. He didn't do that, and ultimately lost the position on the first corner.
I don't know if it makes... I mean, it probably would have made a difference, but I don't think it would have made a difference to the point where if that car's pointed towards Hamilton, he stays first going into that first corner. I think it was just a case of Hamilton got in a tremendous getaway, a much better getaway than Max, and ultimately, lost position. I mean, Max done his best to cover it and push Hamilton all the way over into the pit exit, but Hamilton got that much of a good getaway that it ultimately didn't mean anything. That defense, and it forced Sergio Perez into the mix. When Max kind of left the track momentarily, and Checo came in, but I don't think that would have been too much of a difference. I think if Max has got that car pointed at Hamilton, I think he still loses that corner, to be honest. But in the end, didn't really affect the result because it was a race where strategy was king, wasn't it, really? They went for an aggressive undercut, a really aggressive undercut, to the point where people thought it was the wrong decision. But caught Mercedes, and it's not for the first time this season, Red Bull have caught Mercedes napping. And it's usually the other way around, where Mercedes catch Red Bull out. But this time round, like we saw in... I want to say, was it France where they done it? They kind of realised they could get a nice undercut on Hamilton, and Max gets the win. I think Hamilton will be really annoyed by the race. I think Hamilton would be annoyed that the team didn't get him in earlier. They wanted to go long. And
it almost paid off there.
Almost paid off by forcing him out late. By the last 3 or 4 laps, he could have attacked him. But only really got close with the last 2 laps, and even then just couldn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Which was a shame, because I was really looking forward. I saw the times go down and down and down. I was like, right, we're going to see these last 3 or 4 laps. We're going to see a tasty battle. But unfortunately, we never got to see it.
He sort of leveled out, didn't he? It was going down and down and down, and he leveled out for a bit, and then carried on. And if he'd been able to just sort of keep that momentum up, maybe we'd have got a nice little battle on our hands for the last few laps. I don't know.
No, we could have seen a crash could have seen a crash. I think not maybe a battle for sure, but a battle that probably would have ended in tears. Apart from that, though, I mean, someone else I've got to mention. Yeah, Verstappen and Hamilton both. I mean, Hamilton was probably favourite coming into this weekend, but Red Bull just found pace, and it wasn't just Max Verstappen's Red Bull that found some pace. Sergio Perez,
Very
not just a good race, but a great
dehydrated.
weekend. Yeah, I mean, what was that? 25 laps, 30 laps without any water. Poor sod.
I lost you for a second there.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just saying there was about 25, 30 laps where Checo didn't have any water.
Yeah, on a hot day as well.
Yeah, exactly. In a hot circuit in Austin, Texas, this man doesn't need hydration. He just needs a Honda-powered Red Bull. That was a good drive from Sergio. What would you think of Sergio's weekend as a whole?
I think he might. I mean, it was great for him to get another podium. He might count himself a little bit unlucky though for Ollie, because all through the weekend he was showing great pace. For a lot of it, he was even faster than Max.
Yeah.
So yeah, he might be kicking himself a little bit for quality. I mean, you can't really complain too much with the podium, but yeah, he might be. He might be thinking what could have been there.
I mean, especially in that first corner, go back to that, where it kind of looked like he could have been a bit more aggressive, maybe trying to take that second place off Max, but pulled out in the end. And I thought, you know what, you could have probably given that, but he knows Max is in a title fight. Which is a shame because like you told me, if he weren't driving a Red Bull, he would have gone for that move.
But Horner would have castrated him after the race.
Yeah, he would have had Albon running practice programs. One person that came in fourth place, I think is just having like a really under the radar season. Is having a great season nonetheless, but he's just not getting the. He's not being talked about enough. But Charles Leclerc is just maximising that Ferrari to its fullest potential. It's come to the point now where like people have stopped talking about it because the least we expect is like a Leclerc P4. Like he's making that car work so well for him, and it's not the best Ferrari car we've seen. It's an improvement upon last year, but still, Ferrari should be challenging for first and second place minimum. But Leclerc, again, a kind of a drive on his own, nonetheless, a great drive.
Yeah, he's just sort of plodded on, hasn't he? And just sort of him and Sainz have been very. They've had a nice little battle between each other, haven't they, in the championship? Though, both scored very similar amount of points. But yeah, I think you're right. He has sort of gone under the radar a bit, and that he. Since they got that new engine, they've started to look a bit. He's started to be able to give him a bit more. But yeah, he's done a great job. I think next season, I wouldn't be surprised if he started pushing the big boys a bit more.
I think next season, definitely with a level playing field as well. I think Leclerc. I mean, it's going to be 6 drivers, I think, that are going to be really pushing for those podiums. But it's great to see Leclerc just getting the best out of that car. Let's talk about, I mean, no, we don't have an American on the grid, but if we did, it would come in the form of Daniel Ricciardo. The man just loves Austin, doesn't he? The man just loves Austin, Texas. I thought it was brilliant. It was nice to see him drive as well. His childhood hero's NASCAR car around the track pre-race. Daniel Ricciardo, P5, really has, despite Turkey, I think really turned a corner the second half of this season. I know it's P5, it's probably like the minimum we expect from him. Considering, he's bested, like Sainz was behind him like throughout the race, giving him problems all throughout the race. Bottas was luckily Bottas was held up by lots of other cars, so couldn't really get near Daniel. Also, best in Lando Norris in qualifying and the race. I'm trying to think. I think that's the first time that's happened since Monza. I really enjoyed that. Like even like his defense at the start of the race, we saw a lovely overtake. I mean, I don't know if it was an overtake in the end. Actually, I think Sainz said over the radio he purposely let him go. But it looked like a great overtake on the TV.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Daniel having some consecutively really good drives.
Yeah, he's just nice to see in it that he's cracking on, and he's just
it's wholesome.
Because that first half of the season was a real stress, and you could see like in Hungary that it seems to start to take its toll on him. But yeah, it was great defense of Sainz, great overtake. Yeah, just
vintage Danny at times today. Let's talk about the man who came in 6th place. I'm loving the Twitter account Valtteri Bottas. Let's talk about Valtteri Bottas today. Weird one, really weird one, because again, I think there's 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and Bottas to take a penalty. This is so frustrating that he can't put himself up there next to Lewis to help, Mercedes fight. Qualified, I'm right in saying 9th or 10th, was it?
Trying to think where he was in
9th.
I think
Bottas was 9th. Yeah, Bottas was 9th with an engine penalty. He could only muster P6 today. And it was strange because I really thought he would cut through the grid and maybe kind of in Leclerc today. But I actually kind of had Bottas finishing P4 today. But Sonoda was giving him such a tough time. It was great to see that.
He's done that a couple of times, hasn't he? When there's a Mercedes trying to force the way through it's weird that he picks to have good battles with them, and then the majority of the season, I don't know whether it's just to do with the TV coverage, but I've never seen it like. I've only ever really seen him put these amazing defenses up when he's against a Mercedes, a car that is bound to get at some point.
I think he's the only man who I know could get passed by a Haas, but could also pass a Mercedes car. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But yeah, frustrating from Bottas because we really do want to see him up there, kind of in these last 5 races for Mercedes, be in that fight to help him. But maybe, I mean, I'm not doubting his professionalism. I think for sure he's going to be wanting to do his absolute best. But he might be in that mindset of, well, I'm gone in 5 races, aren't I? So
I don't know if that's necessarily the case, though. I think it seems like there's been a weight off of his shoulders since the announcement that he knows where his future is. He's got the security of a multi-year contract, which he's not had for a while. And it just, the last sort of few weeks, his performances seem to be a bit more like he's free. You know what I mean? Something, the freedom that he's never really had at Mercedes up until he got announced at Alfa Romeo. It's just a shame that it can't be a more competitive car for him.
Well, it's nice that he'll live in Giovinazzi's shadow. No, I want to see. I mean, well, he did get his first win, and that was great to see. And what I'm trying to think, what was that? That was
crazy that it's come this late in the season, though.
That's the thing. Yeah, it came ridiculously late in Turkey. Just couldn't kind of build upon that this weekend, which was a shame. Let's talk about the other Ferrari driver. What did I say? Ferrari. Carlos Sainz. Like I said earlier, kind of just really struggled behind Daniel Ricciardo today. I've left Jacob speechless, it seems.
I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Sorry, mate. I was just leaning on to the point of Mr. Carlos Sainz, who had a kind of had a tough time, struggling to get past Daniel Ricciardo today.
Well, I think the big mistake came on the Saturday for him, didn't it? The choice of tyres.
Yeah.
Set his fastest lap in Q2, and I think he even said as well before the race that he made a mistake there, and I think ultimately that might be what sort of cost him a couple of places.
Yeah.
They've had to go with a strategy that they ideally wouldn't have wanted to go for.
Yeah. Going on the softs, it seemed like could have maybe pulled away in his first stint, just never really done it.
Yeah, it's weird. That's like Ricardo was so close to it, and then managed to get that overtake as well. They were all so close to him right off the start. He didn't even seem to get any benefit out of them soft tyres at all.
No, really didn't.
Like they were already gone before the race started.
That's it. And leading on to the next driver. I mean, Norris even nearly in that kind of crazy first lap, which Daniel was all over the back of Carlos Sainz, and it forced Lando Norris into the fold. And Norris looked like he got the move on Daniel, and he's about to get the move on Carlos as well. But then Daniel got the move back on Lando, and got let through by Carlos Sainz. And Norris was giving him pressure from the outset, and it was just strange to kind of not see him pull away in the end. Norris himself kind of just like an average weekend for in terms of Norris's standards. Maybe a bad weekend for him.
Yeah.
Qualified 7th and can only muster P8 in the race. It was just kind of just a bit of a silent weekend, I think, for Lando.
Yeah, I think this week. I think he's maybe in this case the victim of his own success in that he's had such an incredible season that it really does look disappointing and all that. And I suppose in the context of the season it is, but all weekend it didn't look as if McLaren really were going to challenge Red Bull and Mercedes, and then realistically, like from between people, that's realistically the best they could have really been going for.
Yeah.
So, all things considered, it wasn't awful, but yeah, slightly disappointing given how well he's done this season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, next weekend in Mexico might just kind of. It's weird. I saw a stat actually as well with Norris is that he actually tends to have a worse half. The second half of the season is usually his worst half. First half is usually his best, and then tends to dip in the second half of the season. I don't know if that trend is just continuing again. Hopefully he pulls out of the bag because in this Ferrari and McLaren fight, both McLaren drivers need to be on the ball because it kind of looks like Leclerc's the go-to guy. Like even though Norris has had a great season, Leclerc is just always putting in these stellar performances. And it's like Leclerc's like almost a shoe-in now for P4 that both McLaren drivers need to make sure, all right, if we're not P4, we need to be P5 and 6 and hope Sainz falls over a bit. That fight, I mean, for the end of the to the end of the season, is going to be so entertaining, and I look forward to that. This man, we touched on him earlier, Yuki Sonoda P9. That was a bit more like it, wasn't it, from the very animated Yuki Sonoda?
Yeah, I think this is a bit more of what we thought that we were going to get with that opening performance in Bahrain. He defended well and qualified well as well. Is this the first or second time that we've seen him in Q3?
I think that
this
might be the
season?
second or third time we actually have seen him in Q3.
So that was a good effort. Although, is it to be expected, or is, I mean, not for a rookie, obviously, but I just find that car so hard to judge because
Yeah.
you've got a rookie in one seat and you've got Gasly absolutely driving the fucking wheels off it every week. Like, so I find it so hard to judge where that car sits.
Well, I've just got a stat for you now. I've literally just kind of gone up. This is Sonoda's first points finish since Hungary, where he finished 6th, and even then Gasly came 5th there. It's the first time since Hungary he's had a points finish. That's crazy to me with someone of his talent. I mean, he's only this season, he's 14th in the Drivers' Championship. He's only scored 20 points this season compared to Gasly's 74, which is an amazing gap when you think about it.
I kind of don't really know where I stand with him because on one hand it's like, oh, it's a rookie. Gasly at this stage in his career is a really tough teammate to have your rookie season up against.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just I don't know whether how to come down on him and say, oh well, you should be doing better because your teammate's all the way up here, or whether to go easy on him a little bit and go, look, it's your first season, and enjoy sort of these one-off performances where he's getting into the points. Maybe it'll be easier to judge him next season.
I think it'll be a lot easier to judge drivers next season, but I don't know whether you kind of go into the season and think, well, this is maybe like a points all that we expect from you this season, whether it be kind of make like 30 or 40 points, like this is the minimum. I wouldn't put too much pressure on him because it is his first season in F1. At times, like it's kind of shocking to me that he only has 20 because from Bahrain, Hungary, where it's like, okay, these are really good drives. Where are the others? Where are the other drives? Like that's the thing. Like how this? I find it actually amazing that this is his first points finish since Hungary. Like it's his first points finish in. Oh, let me just count how many races. 6 races. He went. Yeah, he went those races without scoring any points. I find it amazing. It's good to see him in the points. It's good to see him race. It's good to see him, putting pressure on, a Mercedes car. That's what we haven't that shouldn't go unnoticed. Is that the cars he was keeping up with and racing were McLarens, the Ferraris, and the Mercedes. He was putting pressure on. And the last driver to be in the points, and I mean, this is where they should be. Vettel finishing P10 with Aston Martin only mustered the 1 point for the team today, but I think it was a good drive from Vettel. I think in qualifying, where did he qualify? 18th. Yeah, 18th. He qualified in.
That was solid. Yeah, that was really good.
So, it's
I feel
really
like
weird
he
with
didn't get
Aston
a lot of
Martin.
coverage.
No, I'm trying to remember the stuff I saw from Vettel because they're just not really showing the Aston Martins unless it's Monaco where they just don't stop showing you Lance Stroll. Apart from it was weird. They kind of like an under the radar race.
Yeah, to say you pulled that many positions out, but it's kind of strange that we don't really have much more to say on him just because.
No, yeah.
I don't really remember seeing that much. He just
the only one I can remember is like the overtake on Russell. Was very memorable, and then catching all the cars that came after it. But I mean, well done, Sebastian Vettel. I mean, it's just a weird one. I can't really say much about Vettel because I didn't really see much of him actually in terms of like race highlights. And then the rest of the grid, I mean, Jesus Christ came 11th. I thought it was a good weekend actually for the Lord and Savior Antonio Giovinazzi, but just again, just an inch away from the points finish. He needs, I think, to stay in F1. It's all well and good in qualifying in 12th, coming 11th. Fair play. You're kind of you're besting your teammate. That's all you can do, really. But your teammate's on his way out. I don't know whether they're judging him that much on beating Kimi, and then if you're not getting the points finishes, if you're only getting just these 11ths and 12ths, is that enough? Even though your car is, arguably the second worst on the grid now.
Yeah.
Arguably is the second worst car on the grid, and he's coming in P11. I mean, if that's Russell, I think people are talking about a very good drive.
Yeah.
Who else we got? We got Stroll in 12th.
Just
Stroll.
on Giovinazzi, he had a lovely little battle with Alonso.
He did, yes. Yes, he did.
Alonso seemed hell bent to take one of them Alfa Romeos off of the track.
Yeah. It was weird with the battle between Alpine and Alfa Romeo today, because the amount of times one of them gained a position off the track and it just became this whole fiasco over the radio.
That FIA radio has become.
I feel so sorry for Michael Massey. It's just like, yeah, all right, yeah. He just doesn't really, he doesn't even control it. All he can do is just calm the team radios down. That's all he can do. He's literally there just to be like, yeah, okay, I've seen it.
Calm himself.
Yeah, literally. But I'm trying to think. Stroll P12. Yeah, it's there. It exists. It's been put into the universe. I don't know. Stroll, yeah, P12. Raikkonen P13 had a spin which caused a virtual safety car for about 10 seconds. Apart from that, can't really say much. Yeah, it would have been in the points, but he did have a spin. Quiet from the Williamses. I mean, Latifi had a bit of a scrap in that one, but apart from that, and then you got two Hasses right at the back. It's kind of the same old with the back of the grid, isn't it?
Yeah, I felt like, I don't know, when I was watching, I thought after that first lap, I was like, oh, we are in for some racing today, and then it kind of fizzled out a bit after that. I don't know if it's because I was having to watch it without sound, so I didn't get Crofty just absolutely belting out some beauties into my ears, but I don't know. It just felt like there was that at the start, and then there was a Alonso looking for a scrap left, right, and centre. But other than that, it felt pretty.
For a man who retired, he was looking to kill someone today.
He's not usually that dirty though either, is he? He's usually leaves a bit of space. Today.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I saw him that feisty with it.
Especially, and it was just for P12. It wasn't even for a good spot. It was like, oh yeah, I really want 12th today.
Who's put some money on it?
Yeah, rightio. I'll ask you. Who was your? I don't know if it's obvious this week. I think it might be a tough one to decide. I mean, you could go for the obvious choice, but who would you say is your driver of the day?
I find that one quite tough.
I've got mine.
Hello,
mate.
You're out then.
Oh, he's got visitors. I'll say my driver of the day. I'd go with probably Verstappen, just because to do with the strategy. Also, just losing that lead from the first lap, managing to stay within a second, to be fair, of Lewis, but never could really get the overtake done before his pit stop. I'd just say, in terms of strategy, in terms of how important that win is for the championship, I'd probably give that one to Max for my driver of the day.
Yeah, I think I'd be tempted to agree with that.
Yeah. Just a bit of a... I mean, I don't know really who else to give it to. Maybe Brundle for silencing Megan Thee Stallion's bodyguard. But apart from that...
that was amazing.
That was so funny. I don't think they know who Brundle is, but he's been there before. It's his grid when he walks on it, not yours, pal.
He'll talk to anyone.
Yeah, he'll literally talk to anyone. Yeah, I'll probably go Max. Yeah, Max Verstappen today for my driver of the day. We are in Viva la Mexico next week. I'm just going to ask you, Jakey, what is your prediction, apart from probably a Red Bull 1-2, because they're so good there? What would your prediction for that race be?
I'm going to say Perez is winning. Perez is winning this weekend.
That would be monumental.
It'd be
He's in a
lovely,
car that
wouldn't
can
it?
do it. He's in a car that can do it. I think he'll turn it on.
I don't know if that's that bold. I mean, he has only won one this season, so I guess.
Yeah.
And that only happened because of that puncture to Max in Azerbaijan.
I'll probably go with a Max win again. I think I'll probably. I think Perez might turn it. I think Perez might turn it on a lot, but I think Hamilton will still get P2, and I might actually be. This is probably where the boldness comes in. I'm going to go with Charles Leclerc to get a podium.
Ooh, so
Leclerc,
Hamilton.
Yeah, Leclerc to get
that would really affect the championship, wouldn't it? That'd really.
Yeah, in terms of the McLaren fight, I'm going to go with that.
Ooh. Where do you think the championship's going then now? Now that we're a little bit closer.
I think Max has done it, to be honest. I actually think Max has secured it. No, we've got 5 to go. So that's still, I mean, there's so many points to play for. I don't
fancy him to do it now, but
I just see him doing it.
Yeah. I still don't know where I want it to go. I just want it to sort of carry on.
Yeah, I don't want this season to end, to be honest. It's so good. It's been one of my favourite seasons. But I think that USA, I think that was the race where imagine if we were going into Mexico with both of them like neck and neck. I think that would have been great. I think there may be a weekend actually where I don't know. I mean, it's just whether or not there's like a DNF or something just to turn. I think Lewis needs a DNF to turn the tide rather than like him winning it on his like not on his own ability. But I think if Max gets a DNF and let's say Lewis wins the race, that then I think that's the only way he's going to claw the lead back. Rather than him having to win every race after the season and Max to finish like P2 or P3.
Yeah, it does seem more likely, doesn't it? I feel like I do feel like there's wins in it for both of them.
Yeah.
Left. I wouldn't expect Max to run away with it from here, but
don't think he will run away with it. I think going into a lot of races which kind of do suit Red Bull a bit more. With Mexico, Brazil. I mean, Qatar and Saudi Arabia are up in the air. And then Abu Dhabi is quite a bit of a Mercedes track, isn't it? It's whether or not they can be, when they get to Abu Dhabi, there's still something to play for. So
we can only hope.
I think Verstappen has come to USA, which is known to be a Mercedes track, and won. It would be great if Lewis goes to Mexico, which notorious for a Red Bull track, and win that, and then it's back on, and then we go into Qatar and Saudi Arabia with I don't have a clue what's going to happen. That'd be great. It's whether or not that happens. But have you got anything else to say? Just the F2 world champion?
I think that's it from me.
That's all from you. Rightio. Well, that was USA. I can't wait for Danny Rick to shave the rest of that god-awful beard off because it's atrocious. When we get to Mexico, he's going to do a moustache actually for Mexico, isn't he?
Oh, probably, yeah.
I reckon he's going to do a moustache for Mexico. Well, Mexico is this weekend, and I don't know about you, Jakey, but I can't wait.
Oh, get me in there.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, it was so good to be back. All 13 of you have missed us. We've missed you too. It has been an absolute treat today to come back at you with another podcast. That has been the Pit Lane Formula One podcast, and we will see you all next time. Goodbye.